Today's video is gonna be juicy. We're talking about some big financial mistakes that got me thousands of dollars into debt. Yeah, it sucks, but it is what it is, and I've learned from my mistakes. I am now debt-free besides my mortgage, so I have moved past these in my life, but hopefully you guys can learn from some of my mistakes and not make them as well. But comment down below, what is your biggest financial mistake that you have made that you have now learned from? I want to hear from you guys down below in the comments, so please comment down below your biggest financial mistake. So my first big financial mistake was not tracking my spending and just swipe and just spending money however I felt. And if I had $20 in my pocket, that meant $20 to spend. And I would just kind of free spirit, and it is what it is. And I'll learn about money later in life. I'll care later, and I'm in college, and it's fine. It's totally fine, guys. So no, that is not smart. I am now on a budget, and I will be on a budget for the rest of my life. I've really tried to break the stigma that budgets are constricting. No, budgets give you freedom. They give you freedom to spend how you want, that you can allocate your money to your goals, that you can allocate your money so that you can hit some really fun things and do fun things with your money. We paid cash for my dream car. We paid cash for our wedding. We went to Alaska on an Alaskan cruise and paid cash for that. We've bought this house. We've done some really fun things with our money because we're on a budget, because then we put us in control of the money versus our money telling us what we have to do, what bills we have to pay, what we had to do. No, when you're in control, you're the boss. So being in control of your money, I have a spreadsheet for you guys down below in the description box, the same exact spreadsheet that I've used throughout this whole time, and our income has grown over $100,000, and we still budget the same exact way. The process is still the same, whether you're making $30,000 or $200,000. It's still the same process, it's still the same way that we budget. So going along with that is not tracking our expenses. And I know a lot of people don't believe me when I say this, but if I was tracking my expenses and if I was tracking what bills I was paying and what all of that, my car would not have been repossessed. When my car was repossessed 8 years ago, 9 years ago, I don't even remember how many years ago it was now. But when my car was repossessed, I had the money in the bank. That's the frustrating part. That's the part that I get so mad at myself about, is I had the money in the bank, but some months I was being all good girl and I was paying more money for my car payment and I was going ahead. And so at one point I was like 6 months ahead on my car payment. And then because I was tracking my spending, in my head I was like, oh yeah, I paid ahead. I'm good. I don't need to pay this month. I don't need to pay this month. And then pay a little extra and then not pay and whatnot. And then things got pretty bad and I stopped paying my car payment and I was just paying other bills, and I thought everything was fine because I thought I was paid ahead for so much, when no, I wasn't. And then my car got repossessed. I walked out to work one day. I have a full video on this. I worked out to work one day and my car was gone and I thought it was stolen. I called the police to report it stolen, and the lady, I'll never forget it, the lady laughed at me and she was like, no honey, it's been repossessed. I was mortified. I had to go in to talk to the owner of my company to ask for a pay advance, and it was the worst day. But because of that, I wasn't tracking my spending. I didn't know where it was in my bills, and I had the money in my account. Like I said, it was so stupid. But I learned a big valuable lesson, and that wasn't even rock bottom for me. I still was struggling with money after that. But tracking your expenses is so important, and I really learned some hard, valuable lessons from not tracking my expenses. Number 3 is not knowing what student loans meant. And part of this, the reason why I didn't know what student loans meant, was my mom had passed away when I was 16. My mom passed away my second week of my junior year of high school. My dad didn't know what all of that stuff meant. He didn't help me with anything. The guidance counselor at school barely helped me, and they just handed me these FAFSA forms to fill out. I didn't know what I was signing up for. I didn't know how student loans worked. I had no clue about anything about that. So I just signed and I was like, okay. And they were like, hey, you can take out more money for cost of living. Okay. I was working full time in college. I did not need to take out money for living expenses, but I just took out all this money. And then same way my car was repossessed, my student loans went into default as well. And it was really bad. And part of the reason why I started this channel was because, yes, I never learned about student loans. I never learned what it meant when student loans go in default. I never knew what it meant that you're still accruing interest on your student loans, even though you don't have to pay them for 6 months after that. If you can, do it. But I never learned all this stuff. But let's be honest. It's the 21st century. The internet's out there. If you want to learn about it, you can do that. Just because you may not have parents that teach you or teachers that teach you or whatever it is, or you don't learn in school or whatever it is, that's not an excuse anymore. I used that for too long as an excuse of my mom passed away. My dad doesn't know about money, so it is what it is, and it sucked, but it's not my fault. It is still my fault. I take ownership of that because the internet's out there. I could have learned about it. I could have asked the questions, but I was too afraid. I didn't want to learn because no news is good news, and I'd rather be naive, and that is a terrible way to live. That's a terrible way to have your finances. And when my student loans were in collections and I was getting the phone calls, I would ignore them. My phone would be ringing, ignore. Any number that wasn't saved, I had no clue who it was. I wouldn't answer. And also, even like a knock at the door, I wouldn't answer the door. I was so afraid that they were going to come and take away all of my stuff. That they were going to take my cat, so they were going to take my furniture, which they wouldn't take that stuff. But that's how like deep in debt I was. That's how naive I was when I was 19, 20 years old, whatever it was. But it was a really scary time, and I really regret not learning about money, not learning about how student loans work and how when they go into default, what that means. And honestly, picking up the phone and answering the phone, it's a lot easier than you think it is. Like they were a lot nicer. They were a lot more helpful. They worked with me a lot more than I thought. I thought I was going to answer the phone and they were going to start yelling at me and blah, blah, blah. You did this, you did that, blah, blah. No, they were like, okay, how much can you afford? How much do you make a year? What can we do? How can we work with you? How can we make this work? They want to get their money. They're going to work with you. And honestly, if you're nice to them, chances are they're going to be nice back. If you're a jerk to them, they're going to be a jerk back. They're going to feed off of your energy. So when I finally did pick up the phone and did answer the phone when they called, it was a lot easier than I expected. Now, getting them out of default sucked. It was like a 6-month process getting them out of default, but it is what it is. I do have a full video explaining how to get your student loans out of default, what it means when they're on default. So check that out down below in the description. It's a really helpful video. But that was a big financial regret that I have. Whew, we're getting personal on this. We're getting a lot more personal than I expected when I was writing out this outline. But if you're enjoying this video, I'd love for you to like the video. It really helps with the YouTube algorithm. Get this out there so more people see it, and it really helps more people. Share it with a friend that may need some encouragement or feel better about themselves of hearing my financial mistakes, and subscribe to the channel. I would love for you to join the Freedom in a Budget family. Next financial mistake that I've made is buying a brand new car. Now, when I moved to Florida, I used to live in Massachusetts. As soon as I turned 18, I got my butt down to Florida, drove my car. As I'm passing through Palm Bay, because Florida is like bajillion miles long, as I'm passing through Palm Bay, my fuel pump goes. And I have to ride in a tow truck for 120 miles from Palm Bay, Florida to West Palm Beach, Florida. It was terrible. And the whole time I'm praying, is this a mistake? Am I making a mistake? But my car was not the best car when I drove down here. And I had that car for maybe 6 months, and just more things were breaking. It was just bad with the salt because we live so far close to the beach. The salt up north because of when they salt the roads with the snow. And the whole bottom was rusted and things were falling apart. So I was like, I want a brand new car. I don't want to inherit anyone else's problems. And I had an uncle that went with me. I really wish my uncle had sat me down and said, Kelly, I was 18 at this point, but she sat me down and said, Kelly, if you buy a car that is 2 years old, it's not going to have the problems. We're going to look it up. We're going to look at the report on it, make sure it wasn't in any accidents or anything like that. But a car that's 2 years old, it's still going to be a really good, reliable car. In my head, I thought it has to be brand new or a junker. There was no in between in my head. It was either brand new, no problems, or tons of problems. It's going to be like the bumper falling off, all of this stuff. No, that is not the case. So at 18, I bought a brand new car, and it was really expensive. And then as soon as I drove off the lot, it went whoop, depreciated in value, and my car payments kept on coming. And then I ended up getting repossessed, but you guys just heard about that. So buying a brand new car was a big mistake for me. Now, you guys know that I bought my dream car in cash. I bought a 2016 Jeep Cherokee in cash. It's amazing. I still love this car. Oh, I love it. So I bought that car 2 years ago, and I bought a 2-year-old version, and it was a really, really great purchase. I love my Jeep. Yes, it is a little bit more of a higher end car, but saved up cash, debt free, and I love my Jeep. But yeah, never, ever, ever buy a brand new car. We're actually saving for a Tesla right now for Jamie, and he is not too happy that it's going to be a used Tesla, but he'll get over it because it's still going to be a Tesla. So hopefully we'll get that in the next year or two, and we'll be paying cash. Next up is becoming financially dependent on credit cards. Now, when I was in college, I had that thought process of, I'll get a credit card to improve my credit score and build credit, and I need to build my credit, and I'll just put gas on it, right? Just gas, that's it. Yeah. Gas turned into groceries, turned into eating out, turned into shopping, turned into buying makeup, turned into buying clothes, all this stuff. The card got maxed out real quick. And I ended up being dependent on credit cards, and it was not a good time. Now I have learned how to use credit cards responsibly. I actually ended up not using credit cards at all for a while. I went straight cash envelope system. I used to follow Dave Ramsey to a T. Now I don't follow Dave Ramsey. You guys have seen my why I don't follow Dave Ramsey video. It's getting a lot of attention right now and a lot of hate. But I went full Dave Ramsey. I went full cash envelopes. Full cash envelopes, only cash. Then after I started learning how to manage money, how to get my thought process right with money again, then I moved to just debit cards and cash. Then I was able to slowly incorporate credit cards back in after we became debt free. So now I use credit cards responsibly, and I'm not financially dependent on them. I don't pay a penny of interest on them. I don't keep a balance on them. But before, I was very dependent on credit cards, and now I've learned how to use them responsibly. If you guys didn't see my video that I just put out last week on how to raise your credit score without going into debt, check that out. There's some different credit card hacks in it with like credit utilization, different things like that. So definitely check that out. But I used to be very dependent on credit cards, and that is a big regret of mine. Next is not saving for retirement at 18. Not starting my 401k, not starting anything until I was like late 20s. There was many years that I missed out on, almost 10 years of retirement. I really wish that I had just started putting $50 a month, whatever it may be, something small. It didn't have to be big, but just something at 18. And really started to build their retirement, really started that compound interest, and really started to learn about investing. I was so scared. When I thought investing, I thought like the big stock markets and them yelling and screaming, and it was just scary. And I was at 18, it was 2007. So that was like the market crash. So I heard all this stuff about, the market's crashing and this and that, and we're losing all this money and all of this. And I was like, what the heck is going on? I didn't understand investing. I didn't understand anything. To be honest, that would have been a good time to get into the market because it was down. You want to buy low, sell high. So that would have been a great time to start investing. But yeah, I didn't know anything about investing. And that's why I'm talking about investing. That's why I'm teaching about investing, because I've had especially women reach out to me saying, I don't understand it. I don't get it. It's complicated. Can you break it down? So I have my second channel coming. It's going to be coming in January on how to start investing, what basic investing is, what do these terms mean, what does PE ratio mean, what does dividend mean, what does index fund, all of that, breaking it all down in simple terms for you guys to understand. But I really wish I started investing at 18 and had that portfolio grow. We would be a lot better off right now if that was the case. So if you guys do want to start investing, I also have some free apps down below in the description box. So you get a free stock with Robinhood, free stock with Webull up to $1,200. You can do M1 Finance, you can do Fundrise. There's so many fun apps that are really easy to use, very intuitive, very user friendly. So I'll have them linked down below in the description box. But that is some big financial regrets that I have. Again, let me know down below in the description. What are some of your financial regrets that you have? And if you want to know the tea, if you want to know why I no longer follow Dave Ramsey, check out this video here. And if you want to know how to make your first budget, how to get started with budgeting, check out this video here.